Good afternoon, Mister.
I hope you're doing well, guys, and everything's okay. And let's get started. Bismillah. Let me check first, guys, when the quiz can start.
Hello, Mr.
Hello, how are you?
Okay.
Okay, طبعا. We started 6.5, guys. Section 6.5, complex numbers in polar form. And quickly, we said how to plot a point in the complex plane. And we did this here, and we said it's as any other point in the rectangular coordinate plane. Okay. Next, we said also here, the absolute value of complex number z is radical a squared plus b squared. And we did here example 2 and check 1. أخذنا the polar form of a complex number. You should know that r equals radical a squared plus b squared, and also a is r cosine theta and b is r sine theta, and tan theta is b over a. All these rules you have to know. So when you would like to write z, which is a complex number in polar form, you should replace every the a and the b by its original value, r cosine theta and r sine theta, and simply we say we have to use. We said we have to use in z equals r cosine theta plus I sine theta in polar form, and such that r square root of a squared plus b squared, it's the modulus, and the argument is the theta, which is b over a. We did here this example 3. Z is -2, -2i. Step 1, r, the modulus, radical -2 squared plus -2 squared, which is radical 8 to radical 2. أخذنا second step is tan theta, which is y over x, b over a, and -2 over -2, which is 1. And I have to stop and think what reference angle in the first quadrant. It has a tan value of 1, or tan inverse of 1 is 45 or pi over 4. This is a quick recap of what we have said before in the previous week. Theta is pi plus pi over 4. Why? Because your terminal side is already exist in the third quadrant, so it's pi plus the angle. Then write your angle, write your number z, the complex number in polar form, r cosine r into cosine theta plus I sine theta, which is 2 radical 2 cosine 5 pi over 4 plus I sine pi over 4. We did the checkpoint 3 by the same way. Checkpoint 4, the vice versa. We have to find or write the z from the polar form to the rectangular form. A complex number z is written in the polar form 2 into cosine 60 plus I sine 60. We would like to write it in rectangular form. Well, you know, in the z, in the complex form, should be a plus bi. And we know also that a and b is the same as x and y in rectangular form. So if you find, guys, a and find b by using this formula, a equals r cosine theta, which is here. A equals r cosine theta, and r here is 2, and cosine the angle 60 gives 1. So a is 1, 2 times half. The b is r sine theta, so it's b equals 2 sine 60, 2 times radical 3 over 2, so b is radical 3. بترجع تكتب الكومبلكس نمبر بتاعك تاني z equals a plus bi, which is 1 plus radical 3i, and it's better, guys, to write the I first before the radical. أهلا عمر, سلام. Okay, next. We did the checkpoint number 4, and we stopped here. Yeah, we don't also
we did this part also, yes.
Product of two complex number in polar form, two complex numbers in polar form. لما يكون معك two complex numbers z1, z2, you just multiply the moduli, plural of modulus, r1 times r2, and then add the angles, اعمل plus للangles, and multiply r1 and r2. So r1 times r2 bracket cosine theta 1 plus theta 2 plus I برا sine theta 1 plus theta 2. This is the product of two complex numbers in polar form. كل ده أخذناه. For example, if z1 equal 4 into cosine 50 plus I sine 50, and the second complex number z2 equals 7 into cosine 100 plus I sine 100. Z1 times Z2 يعني the product of these two complex numbers equal 4 times 7 28 open parentheses cosine add the angles, add the green parts. 50 plus 100 is 150 degrees plus I sine 150 degrees. This is the product, guys, of two complex numbers. Multiply the R1 by R2, 4 by 7, 28, open brackets. Cosine the sum of the two angles, 50 and 100 is 150. I sine the sum of the two angles, 50 and 100 again is 150. This is all what we did in the previous week. And we stopped here, guys, how to find the quotient of two complex numbers. Who know the quotient? The quotient means the division of two complex numbers in polar form. If we have Z1 and Z2, برضو, Z1 is the first complex number written in polar form, R1 into cosine theta 1 plus I theta 2, sine theta 2, sine theta 1, and Z2 is R2 cosine theta 2 plus I sine theta 2. If you have two numbers and how to find the quotient, نفس الموضوع يا شباب, but here I'm gonna divide R1 by R2, I'm gonna divide R1 by R2 and subtract the arguments. Okay, so to divide complex numbers, divide what? Moduli, the plural of modulus, اللي هو R1 and R2, and subtract arguments, the angles.
Okay.
In the next example, example number 6, pay attention, please, and before 25, you should tell me, guys. So we have 4 minutes left. So we will solve the checkpoint 7 and example 7, and then start directly our quiz. So pay attention, please. Find the quotient Z1 over Z2 of the complex numbers. Leave the answer in polar form. Okay. Z1
over Z2
over Z2
equal R1 over R2
R1 over R2 into
E2 cosine
bracket
theta
cosine
1
theta 1 minus theta 2 then plus I sine
theta 1 minus theta 2 also.
Theta 1 minus theta 2 also. Okay, so what is R1?
12 over 4.
12 over R2, which is, here is R1, shabab, and here is R2. 12 over 4, cosine. What's the difference of these two angles? 3 pi over 4 minus pi over 4.
Pi over 4.
Plus I
sine
3 pi over 4 again minus pi over 4 and close the bracket.
Equal 3 cosine
yes
2 pi over 4
2 pi over 4 which is pi over 2 ممكن تعملها simplify بدل 2 pi over 4 write it as pi over 2 يعني 90. Okay, then plus pi over 2, sorry, plus I sine again
pi over
2 or pi over 2 and close your bracket. Final step is to leave your answer in polar form, so it's better to leave it like this, right? وقال لك leave it in polar form يعني ما تتفلسف. يبقى it's 3 وخلاص cosine pi over 2. ممكن اكمل
مزر ممكن بس شوي 1 minute خليها مثلا
كده يعني. Yes. What no, 1 minute.
No,
only keep this slide 1
copy
minute.
it.
Yeah. Screenshot. Yes, yeah. Prepare yourself, guys. The quiz guy will start after 2 minutes. Prepare yourself. Your calculator. Quiz is so easy. It's all about plotting points, bullet points.
Mr. We will be able to see our marks ولا لا after we finish the quiz?
No.
يعني you will tell us the marks?
No.
طب ازاي انا هعرف؟
Tomorrow.
كله no.
I will ask first because I don't know if they would like to give you your marks or not. May I say for you your marks tomorrow, inshallah. But now, do you have any question in example 6?
No, clear.
No.
Is it
no,
easy?
Everything's easy.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's move on to checkpoint 6 and start. Right. How to find the quotient Z1 over Z2? Omar
50 over 5. Yes, Mr.
Solve
50 over 5.
Not right.
Yeah. 50 over 5 is 10. 10.
Yes, it's 10.
And subtracting the
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 angle
angles يعني 4 pi over 3 minus pi over 3
minus pi over 3 plus
plus
I
I sine 4 pi over 3 minus pi over 3
sine 4 pi over 3 minus pi over 3
طيب
زي الفل. 10 here
يعني كوساين باي يعني
cosine
كوساين
pi
باي اللي هي minus 1
لا قال لك leave it in ايه in polar form يعني ما
اه
تحسبوش
تمام
cosine
تمام
pi.
اوكي
Okay.
تمام تمام كوساين
طيب.
باي minus I ساين باي
minus I sine pi and say goodbye. Okay, to the question. But if you'd like to complete guys,
قصدي
أصلا
plus
تكتبها
sign.
in radical rectangular form. لو طلب منك leave your answer in radical form بدل ال polar form. What should you do, guys? To
we will
evaluate
change
here.
it 10 cosine I
Cosine
عفوا
pi
10 cosine pi هي minus 10
minus 1 plus I sine pi. What's sine pi?
ساين
كم
باي
sine
اللي
pi
هي
هناك؟
0
0. Oh. So no I
يعني
here.
هتطلع نيجاتيف 10
Hmm. So only my answer is negative 10.
10 yes
Plus 0i. So the real part here is negative 10, which is a, and b here, which is what? Imaginary part. So you can write it as negative 10 and 0. And you can plot this point, negative 10 and 0. تقدر تكتبها z equals negative 10 plus 0i, or negative 10 only as a complex number
Yes.
in polar form.
مستر
Mr.
طبعا
Yes, it's a 25.
It's a 12:25. Go to the quiz or
مستر طب احنا مش هناخد الاكسبوننشال فورم اوف ذا كومبلكس نمبرز
Roots.
لا الاكسبوننشال فورم
Mr.
اللي
The quiz
هي
appeared.
e to the power I theta قصدي
e to the power of.
I theta
Yes,
هناخدها
yes.
ولا لا؟ We
This
will
is
take it.
this equation or what? The biggest scientist إبراهيم حجاج.
لا يوجلن مش عارف اسمه
إليا.
غريب يوجلن
إليا.
حاجه زي كده يعني
طبعا ديت اللي فتحت العلم كله. تعتبر أعظم معادلة.
So can we start the quiz?
e to the power pi I plus 1 equals 0
Okay, let's get started guys the quiz. نبدأ بسم الله.
اوكي
All
تمام
of you open your cameras on and let's start. Let's move on to our quiz. يلا open the camera. الله العظيم. يلا أبي يا عمر. محمد فارس، محمد سباعي. منورين يا جماعة. اوكي تيالي وريان يس. اوكي ظهر الكويز 12:25.
ظهر يا مستر ظهر وبعدين
يلا
yes.
Open your cameras guys. The one who will not open the camera, you will take 4/5. The one who will not open, don't solve and take 4/5. سيف أمجد. As you see my screen now?
Yes.
First one here is more.
Yes.
And this question convert each perfect number. طبعا this one اللي عمر بنتكلم عنها لازم كنا نخدم 4/3 بس يعتبروها جيفت خالص. طيب.
مستر الله هو كلهم جيفت مش دي بس
Easy.
كله كده حتى دي اهو برضه
Convert why? Because it's clear for you.
والله يا مستر.
مستر 3/2 1.5 ما فيش حاجه ثانيه 1.5
1.5 which is the y coordinate.
وهنا كمان نفس الحكايه دي سهله دي مش محتاجه حاجه بتزود 360
Yes, to find more representations.
And this
والثانيه دي برضه جرافيك ما فيهاش
يعني easy مستر. Yes.
Easy quiz, right?
Thank you for the quiz.
Thank you Mr. for the easy quiz.
No, don't say thank you.
خليها كده دايما
The first, you will not say thank you again.
لا صلي على النبي يا
okay.
مستر هو كده يعني خلي ليفل كده دايما
لا طبعا.
Right.
اوكي ان شاء الله بس.
مستر انا عندي اقتراح صعب الكوزات براحتك بس الفاينل خليه سهل جدا.
Let's move back guys. Pay attention. The quotient, right? Now powers of complex numbers in polar form.
Yes.
We can use formula to find powers of what complex numbers if the complex numbers are expressed in the polar form. And if you know z is r into cosine theta plus I sine theta, you can simply here find what? And you find the z squared, the z to the power of 3, z to the power of 4, and so on. And you can do this by multiplying z by another z. You can multiply the z by another z. So r by r squared, and cosine 2 theta, and the I sine 2 theta. Because theta plus theta is 2 theta. Okay, مش بنسيب المultiplication بنعمل adding angles, so theta and theta to theta. Okay, and r by r squared. z cubed is r cubed cosine, so هتلاحظ ان في pattern. z power 4 is r to the power of 4 cosine 4 theta. Now what's the pattern here? That z to the power of n is equal to r to the power of n cosine
n theta
n theta plus I
sine n theta.
sine n theta. That's it. تلاقي مكتوبة هنا z to the power of n is r into cosine theta plus I sine theta all to the power of n out here direct. Example 7, find the 2 cosine 20 plus I sine 20, and this all to the power of what? 6. 2 into cosine 20 degrees plus I sine what? 20 degrees, and this all to the power of 6. Who can do it? Start by 2. We'll have 2 to the power of 6. And then cosine 20 times 6. 20 times 6. بتنزل الان multiply
Plus
I sine 20 times 6.
Sine 20 times 6, yes.
20
They want
times 6.
20, yeah.
Easy this, right? 2
Yeah.
to the power of 6.
64.
64. And
Cosine 120. Negative
120 degrees plus I sine
120.
multiplying here gives 120 degrees. So this is your expansion when the power is 6. Then he's asking you to write your answer in the form of a plus bi. So 64
Yes.
cosine 120
minus half. Minus
plus
half.
I, and then sine 120 is
Square root of 3 over 2.
yeah. Then multiply here the 64
Minus
by first
32.
and by second, so minus 32. This is the real part.
Plus 32 square root of 3i.
Plus 32 radical 3 and put the I here. لأنك عشان ما تدخلش جوه.
تمام.
Okay يا شباب. So this is how to find the power of a
Power
complex
of a
number.
complex number.
Easy. So this is when power 6. In the next slide, check point 7, we can do it here to the same question. Change this angle cosine 30 degrees plus I sine 30 degrees, and this all to the power of 5. Yes.
Yes, 2 to the power of 5.
Okay, Mr. Mohammed Faris, now we'll finish.
لا 7.
طيب يبقى 2 to the power of
5 equal
Here,
cosine
32.
30 times 5.
times 5, and then plus
I
I
sine 30 times 5.
30
Times 5.
That's it. 2 to the power of 5 is
32.
32. Cosine now 30 by 5 is 150 degrees.
Cosine 150. Yeah.
Yes. And then
Plus I sine 150.
multiply
I
50
sine.
by 5 by 30 is 150 degrees.
Yes.
Write it in also the rectangular form. So we have
30 times negative square root of 3 over 2. Cosine 150 is negative square root of 3 over 2.
Is negative square root of
3 over 2.
over 2 plus I.
Sine 150 اللي هي half.
Half or yeah, half in the second quadrant, so it's positive and it's 1 half.
Half.
بعدين
We write
نرجع
it,
تاني
we
multiply by
simplify
32 by
it.
all.
16 أو negative 16
3
radical 3 we put the I. Okay لا مش 1 I تمام.
plus 32. 16 قصدي I.
Plus 16 I.
Plus 16 اللي هي 32 divided 2 and multiply half.
16.
That's it.
بس.
So هنا A plus BI اسمها
BI.
rectangular form. The value of A is negative 16 radical 3. The value
of B is 16.
Easy.
صح.
Any questions?
No, Mr. Thank you.
Clear.
في حاجة؟
Very clear.
No, we will stop till here today. And
Okay,
let's
okay,
say,
تمام.
Okay.
we talk today, guys, we start from finding the quotients, right? To find
تمام.
the
Yes.
quotient, you divide R1 by R2 and subtract. And the multiplication, you add the angles and multiply R1 by R2. Next, we studied how to find the power of complex numbers. We just square, put in over the R and multiply the angle by the n.
Yes.
And here represents the power.
Okay.
Easy, right?
Easy
Yes,
lesson today,
easy.
Mr. Yes.
Alhamdulillah. And easy quiz and everything is easy, inshallah.
Yes.
Don't worry. I will let you guys to, would like to go. That's it. And goodbye, inshallah. Shukran.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Very
Thank you,
much.
Mr.
Keep safe and see you, inshallah. All the best.